Today, we're diving into a really interesting framework that could fundamentally change how community projects, like church plants, get off the ground. We're going to move way beyond the traditional donation plate and step into the world of business acquisition, all to create missions that can actually sustain themselves. So let's just kick off with a big question. What if launching a new church or some other community initiative, what if it didn't have to start with years of just asking for donations? What if instead it began with a smart investment that created real value from day one? It's a pretty powerful idea, and it definitely challenges some of the old ways of thinking. Okay, let's just compare the two paths here. You've got the traditional model on the left, what's often called the deputation model. That can mean 3 to 5 years of fundraising. The leader is basically seen as a solicitor. But now look at the new model on the right. The goal is to launch in just 6 to 12 months. And that same leader, they're transformed into a local employer, a real stakeholder in the community. The difference, not just in time but in perception, is huge. So this new approach has a name. It's called FCPBA, which stands for Funding Church Planting Through Business Acquisition. The core idea is actually pretty simple, but it's also profound. Instead of constantly raising monthly support to cover your salary and expenses, a leader raises a one-time down payment to buy an existing, profitable, local business. Here's the blueprint, broken down into 3 really clear steps. Step 1, you raise the initial capital you need for that down payment. Step 2, you use that capital to go out and buy a local business that's already making money. And then, step 3, that business generates the leader's salary and, on top of that, provides a surplus for community impact. It's designed to be a self-sustaining engine right from the get-go. It's a really compelling idea, for sure. But I know what you're thinking. Do the numbers actually pencil out? How does this really work financially? So let's break down the mechanics that make this whole model viable. The key number to get your head around is this one, $150,000. And remember, this isn't an annual salary you have to raise over and over again. This is a one-time equity investment that's used to secure a really significant business asset. So how in the world does that 150 grand turn into a $1.5 million business? Well, the magic word here is leverage. Specifically, we're talking about small business administration loans. Because of what's called the 10% rule, that initial equity, your down payment, secures a loan for the other 90%. And just like that, the project leader has some serious purchasing power. Now, once you've acquired a healthy business of this size, it can generate over $400,000 a year in cash flow. And here's where that money goes. A slice of it covers the loan payments, of course. Another slice provides a fair salary for the leader. And you still have a big chunk left over, what the model calls kingdom dividends, that can be reinvested directly into community projects. You know, this chart really makes the strategic shift crystal clear. Instead of ongoing donations, it's a one-time equity raise. Instead of years on the road trying to raise support, it's just months to launch. You're not just an expense on a budget, you're building equity in a real asset. And that role, it completely transforms from solicitor to stakeholder. Okay, so the funding model makes sense, but the success of this whole thing really hinges on buying the right kind of business. And, you might be surprised, we are not talking about the next big tech startup here. Actually, this strategy focuses on what some people might call boring businesses. These are the essential, recession-resistant services that are just deeply woven into the fabric of a community. Think about it. HVAC repair, laundromats, commercial cleaning. These are high-touch businesses built on everyday relationships and trust. And that right there leads to a really crucial point. Buying a business like this isn't just a financial strategy. It's a mission strategy. It's all about establishing an authentic, meaningful presence in the very community you want to serve. This model just immediately transforms the leader from an outsider into a genuine stakeholder. I mean, as a local employer, they have what's called an incarnational presence. The business itself becomes a kind of third space, a natural meeting point for employees and customers. And it creates this daily opportunity for what you could call workplace discipleship, all through simple action and integrity. I love this quote because it really captures the essence of the whole idea. How you run your business, paying fair wages, treating your vendors ethically, serving customers with real excellence, all of that becomes a powerful visual sermon that speaks volumes long before any formal service is ever held. Of course, a strategy this bold isn't going to be without its challenges. It's really important to be clear-eyed about the potential risks involved when you try to merge business and mission. Okay, so the first and probably most obvious risk is what's called the time suck. If the business is struggling, its operational demands can completely swallow the leader's time and energy, and that can kill the original mission before it even gets a chance to start. So dealing with this risk is absolutely crucial. The key is to acquire a business that already has solid, self-sufficient operations in place. Or another way to do it is to budget for hiring a general manager pretty early on, say within the first year, to handle all the day-to-day stuff. That frees up the leader to focus on the community mission. Now, the second risk is a little more subtle. It's mission drift. The pressure to stay profitable and keep the business running can cause the leader to slowly morph from a community planter into just another CEO, and in the process, lose sight of the primary goal. The safeguard against that is all about accountability. The model requires a local board of advisors, think mentors or elders, who hold the leader accountable, and not just to financial numbers, but to spiritual key performance indicators. They're the ones who are there to constantly ask the question, are we actually fulfilling the mission? And finally, there's the skills gap. The framework calls this technical debt. A really passionate community leader might not have the specific business experience it takes to run a $1.5 million company, and that's totally understandable. The solution here lies in partnership. The people who provide that initial capital shouldn't just be seen as donors. They should be kingdom investors. A lot of times, these are retired business executives who can provide not just the money, but also the crucial mentorship and expertise needed to really succeed. You know, while all this feels very modern and entrepreneurial, it's actually built on a timeless idea. It's really a direct descendant of those ancient tent-making models, where mission leaders would work a trade to support themselves. The FCPA model just takes that old concept and upgrades it for the 21st century acquisition economy. So when you boil it all down, FCPBA really presents itself as a solution to two big problems at once. On one hand, it tackles that practical funding gap that stalls so many great projects. But just as importantly, it aims to solve the relevance gap by embedding the mission right into the community's economic and social life from day one. And that leaves us with a really provocative final thought. In an age where so many people are looking for authenticity and real, tangible impact, could the future of community building lie not in just soliciting donations, but in creating sustainable value through the very businesses that serve our neighborhoods? It's a powerful vision for a totally different way forward.